Republicans controlling the U.S. Senate on Sunday pushed ahead with debate on a massive tax and spending bill, even as a nonpartisan forecaster calculated the measure would add $3.3 trillion to the nation's deficit over the next decade.
I would like to start by just taking a moment to thank the clerks who stayed up all night.
Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune helped shepherd what President Donald Trump has dubbed
the One Big Beautiful Bill.
The One Big Beautiful Bill Act toward passage, despite stalwart Democratic opposition and the defections of two members of his own Senate faction. The bill would slash taxes, cut funding for health care programs for the poor, and boost military spending and border security. A version passed the U.S. House of Representatives last month, and some were already balking at the price tag. The Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, or CBO, on Sunday morning said the Senate version would cost an additional $800 billion.
Republicans are about to pass the single most expensive bill in U.S. history.
Here's Democratic Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Look, Republicans can use whatever budgetary gimmicks they want to try and make the math work on paper, but you can't paper over the real-life consequences of adding tens of trillions to the debt.
The U.S. already spends more than it takes in from tax revenues, making up the difference by borrowing. The debt already stands at more than $36 trillion. Democrats say the bill's tax cuts would disproportionately benefit the wealthy at the expense of social programs for lower-income Americans. Republicans, who have long voiced concern about growing U.S. deficits and debt, have rejected the CBO's long-standing methodology to calculate the cost of legislation. And Republicans are using a legislative maneuver to bypass the Senate's 60-vote threshold to advance most legislation in the 100-member chamber. Here's Republican Lindsey Graham.
And we're going to vote on this bill in the coming days, and I'm excited about that.
The fight may have already claimed one casualty. Senator Thom Tillis announced he will not be seeking re-election next year. He was one of two Republican senators to defy Trump and vote against proceeding with this bill. Tillis had said the measure would harm lower-income folks in his state of North Carolina. Trump threatened to back a primary challenger in retribution for Tillis's Saturday night vote against the bill.
A Ukrainian F-16 fighter pilot was killed while repelling a Russian attack overnight that involved hundreds of drones, cruise and ballistic missiles, Ukrainian authorities said on Sunday. In Kyiv, families huddled in metro stations for shelter after air raid sirens rang out. Machine gun fire and explosions were heard across the capital and in the western city of Lviv, where such attacks are less common. Russia has intensified nighttime air barrages in recent weeks, causing widespread damage and killing many civilians. The Ukrainian Air Force said the pilot did everything he could and flew the jet away from a settlement but did not have time to eject. Kyiv has not revealed how many F-16s it operates, but they have become a central and heavily used part of Ukraine's air defences. It has now lost 3 since it began operating the US-made jets last year. President Volodymyr Zelensky called for more support from Western allies to bolster Ukraine's air defences after the attack. Under President Donald Trump, Washington has not committed to new military aid for Ukraine. Trump said he was considering a Ukrainian request for more Patriot missile batteries after he met Zelensky at a NATO summit last Wednesday.
Ve bu emeği birbirimize, kendimize, kolektif geleceğimize atıyoruz. Aile yılınıza karşı onur yılımızda tüm Ukraynalıları kendimize onur duymaya çağırıyoruz. Birlikte buradayız. Yaşamda ısrar ediyoruz.
Girmeyin, alınacaksınız. Gel gitme, nereye gidiyorsun?
Sakin. Kapat, kimseyi bırakma. Kapat.
Danışmanım benim, danışmanım. Sanayi rejimi,
The palace regime will not continue their rule by ignoring and demonizing the LGBT plus community.
Ama yapıyor, her yerde yapılır. Tamam, nasıl iler?
A gunman on Sunday ambushed and shot dead 2 firefighters responding to a forest fire in northern Idaho, wounding 1 other before the suspect was found dead hours later. That's according to the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Bob Norris said they believe the suspect started the fire to lure firefighters to Canfield Mountain, a popular outdoor area about 260 miles east of Seattle.
This was a total ambush. These firefighters did not have a chance.
Norris said law enforcement officers and firefighters came under sniper fire almost immediately after arriving on the scene in the early afternoon, and did not initially know where the gunfire was coming from or how many gunmen there were. Officers exchanged gunfire with the suspect, and after several hours, the suspect's body was located using cell phone location information. It was not clear whether he was hit and killed or if he killed himself. The motive for the shooting was not known, and Norris said officers were still working to identify the man. Norris said a 3rd wounded firefighter was fighting for his life after surgery and was in stable condition. Norris said the shooter used a high-powered sporting rifle to fire rapidly at first responders, but would not provide more details on weapons recovered. He said officers would likely find more guns at the scene on Monday, once the fire was extinguished.
Nissan has asked some suppliers to allow it to delay payments to free up short-term funds. That's according to several emails and a company document reviewed by Reuters. Nissan correspondence shows it has made the request to some suppliers in Britain and the EU. The move would allow it to have more cash on hand at the close of the April-June first quarter. Emails showed it also follows similar requests before the end of the last financial year in March. It's not uncommon for companies to request payment extensions from suppliers to help free up cash. Nissan said in a statement it had incentivized some of its suppliers to collaborate under more flexible payment terms, at no cost to them, to support its free cash flow. The emails were exchanged among Nissan employees in Britain and the EU. One employee told co-workers this month that suppliers were again being asked for an extension of payment terms. They further told colleagues it was in line with the aim to boost free cash flow requested from CEO top down. Nissan told Reuters its CEO did not mandate functional tasks in regions. Reuters was not able to determine whether Nissan made similar requests to suppliers in other regions. Nissan said in a statement it would not comment on internal discussions or specific targets. New CEO Ivan Espinosa has unveiled plans to shed around 15% of Nissan's global workforce as the Japanese automaker tries to boost cash. He also aims to close 7 plants as he targets $3.4 billion in cost cuts over the next 2 years. Nissan has been hit by falling sales and is weighed down by an aging vehicle lineup. The carmaker reported a $4.5 billion net annual loss in the financial year that ended in March. It's also declined to give a forecast this year.